Lawsuits over licenses for Liberty and similar gaming machines have been lingering in the judicial system for nearly 5 years. That is, until stipulations for dismissal were signed and filed with the Superior Court last week. But apparently there was some confusion over what those dismissals actually meant. This is what Rev and Tax Director John Camacho said to KUAM on Primetime Monday.
What this means basically is that it clears the way for these Liberty machines to be licensed.
But Civil Division Deputy Attorney General Patrick Mason disagrees. You see, in 2008, Rev and Tax denied reissuing the licenses to companies like Guam Music Inc. for the devices. Then Lieutenant Governor Mike Cruz ordered the licenses to be issued, and then the court ordered them to revoke the licenses. That's when Guam Music Inc. intervened in the case, asking the court to be allowed to stop Rev and Tax from revoking their licenses. The company also filed another lawsuit asking the Superior Court to order Rev and Tax to issue licenses they'd been issued repeatedly for years before.
Those cases were dismissed, so the status quo was in effect, no licenses. But then we learned recently, very recently, today, that Rev and Tax went ahead and issued licenses without our knowledge or without coming to us and talking to us.
The other party agreeing also to dismiss the case, the assumption is that we're going to go back to the status quo, which is no issued licenses, and that's it.
But apparently Rev and Tax didn't get that memo, as they started issuing the licenses again last week. Attorney General Leonardo Rapadas contends the machines are illegal and never should have been licensed in the first place.
In a normal case, when both sides dismiss a case, there's either an agreement, which we did not have, or nothing happens, and we're back to square one.
So in hindsight, then, there should have been an agreement prior to that stipulation? Or
I think in hindsight, it might have been better that there was a more open communication between the department and the governor's office on this issue. And clearly, that wasn't as clear, the lines of communication, because it's our understanding that Revenue and Tax relied on the advice of others.
And that advice is based on regulations that essentially legalize the gaming devices like Liberty, Uncle Sam, and Symbolics. Rev and Tax had received advice from the governor's legal counsel, Senator Cruz Miller, who relied on regulations stating that any devices licensed before August 2001 could be issued new licenses. But the AG's office contends that when regulations and law conflict, the law prevails. Additionally, they argue the regulations have no effect, as there was never an economic impact statement or any record of a public hearing when it was submitted to the legislature back in 2003.
They're relying on these bogus regulations, and these bogus regulations specifically refer to gaming devices. So if they're relying on them, that means they're relying on something that calls their machines gaming devices.
And with Rev and Tax having already issued some of these licenses, the Attorney General's office is now back at square one where they were 5 years ago.
It seems like we're kind of deja vu back to 2008 circumstances, since Department of Revenue and Taxation did issue the licenses. Again, we were not contacted nor informed that Revenue and Tax was going to do that. It's kind of odd that at the same time we weren't in direct communication about, we just assumed they understood that these devices were illegal and didn't consult us.
The AG's office is now preparing letters to each of the business owners who previously possessed these machines, advising them that they are at risk of violating the law should they operate the devices. They've also advised Rev and Tax to revoke the licenses that were issued. Should DRT choose not to comply, the AG's office says it is ready to file a lawsuit against their client to ensure compliance of the law. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Mindy Egan.